on either one of our units, it's just not staying. I wish that was something that was fixed, Deadheads, because this is an amazing machine. But let's talk about this and let's do our full review. Let's go. As you can see in the southern plains here, we have a big storm brewing up. No, wait, that's not me, Deadheads. I'm not max velocity. Anyways, Deadheads, welcome back to the channel, or welcome for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're going to do a review of the anbernic RG35XX SP. We did our unboxing a few weeks ago. We've been playing it, using it, putting it through all the tests, and we actually got a second unit in finally. That unit was actually stopped by US Customs and took forever to get here, and it was a crazy package. It got opened and everything. But that's okay because we have both units and we've been playing with both of them. We're going to show you a little bit of Mustard OS, a little bit of the regular OS that it ships with. But anyways, let's hop right into this review and get going. Anbernic has released the RG35XX SP. And I love this device, guys, but there's one thing, just one thing that annoys me about it. And that has to do with the hinge. Now, hinges have historically been a very difficult problem to solve. So I'm not knocking the hinge completely. But if you're laying in bed and you have this thing retracted all the way back at a good angle, it won't stay. Gravity, man, right? Okay, the anbernic 35XX SP. So this is, as I told you guys, a great unit that only has one little thing that annoys me. It's almost the perfect handheld for me. And I don't want that one little annoyance to take away from just how great of a job Anbernic has done. So Anbernic is not a perfect company. They've had some issues, but when it comes to this little guy right here, for your money, this is really nice. Will MiU be able to actually produce a flip and one that competes? I don't know, Deadheads. But for now, this is the handheld that I think is producing a lot of nostalgia. First of all, Game Boy Advance. So as I bring up some Castlevania here, I wanted to just go over and talk about the Game Boy experience here. So, you know, for many of you, there's probably a lot of nostalgia here. Back to the time of when you were a child and you may have had this Game Boy Advance SP as your first handheld, or maybe it was, you know, your third handheld. But in any case, I know that many of us that watch the channel, many that are my age, we all have this great nostalgia for it. So obviously, as a machine to play Game Boy Advance, which this can do a whole lot more, this is definitely, whoa, Deadheads. This is definitely a real joy to play. I'm running the stock firmware on this unit, and I do have Mustard OS on this unit for the two of them, just to give you guys a little bit of idea of the difference. We know what this CPU can do and what the chipset can do. We've seen it over and over again. But I just wanted to share with you the settings I'm running here in RetroArch. So if we go to video and our output and our scaling, I do have integer scale off. We could turn that on, but I do have it off. But if you want to have a little bit of a area there, you can turn that on. And then I do like to run this in a 3.2 configuration like the original Game Boy Advance. So we get a little full screen right here. And I also like to run this on the user interface here. I like to run this with a shader. And we're using the GBA color shader that's going to bring back that natural GBA color, or try to replicate it anyways. And then we have the overlay built in that's going to give us that nice looking GBA screen at the bottom right there. So we are running that default. Now this is again on default OS, and you can see here that this just looks fantastic. As we play a little bit here, it is beautiful. The screen is beautiful. Again, you can go all the way back here with the hinge. Unfortunately, it will not stay. That is the only criticism that I really could find for this handheld. I know that there has been a lot of discussion among other reviewers in the community about these buttons, but Deadheads, I don't find any issue with the button. I think the buttons are fine. I think they feel good. They feel a lot like what I would remember from my Game Boy Advance back in the day. I think that this has got a lot of nostalgic value. And you can see here, I like to pick the Game Boy Advance Castlevania games because you can get a real good idea here on the D-pad. If we pull down and we pivot, he's moving. So we can pivot left and right, but he's not moving uncontrollably. We don't have any false diagonals if we're going like that. And so these buttons here, I think they're not very difficult to use. I don't really understand the commentary. I respect it, I just don't understand it. So for me, I don't see the buttons as an issue. I saw Russ's fix, and I think that's great if you have a unit that you feel like the buttons are just not where they should be. But for me, these buttons are just very capable. Again, running the H700 as I throw the specs up here on the screen, this unit, this handheld, is going to play very comfortably up through N64 and PSP. Although for those units you don't have a stick, and you also are going to have some limitations as to scaling abilities and even not 100% compatibility. But anything from PlayStation 1 under, it's going to run this, and it's going to run this fine. It actually has really decent shoulder buttons. The position of them are really great, and everything is just really awesome as far as that goes. So let's transition over here into another game as we transition into some Dreamcast footage here. Again, the lack of a stick I don't think is a huge issue. I really don't think that having a stick on here would bring a whole lot more value with this particular CPU. The H700 is just turning out to be a fantastic CPU, even though it was not designed for handhelds. But we're getting, what I would say, good enough quality for Dreamcast, PSP, and N64. It's not perfect, definitely has some challenges, and it's not, T618 quality. It's also not T618 price. So I think the trade-off for the pricing is definitely worth the difference here. But you can see as I play some Soul Calibur, Dreamcast just looks fantastic with this screen. This 3.5-inch screen is Askarov throws me around like a ragdoll, and just looks beautiful. Again, it's a joy to hold. You have the angle here, the back angle, or you could, I guess, even do it something like this if you wanted to be really strange and hold it that way. But again, anbernic software has matured. It's definitely improved. There was an update that just rolled out today. I posted in the community. So I am running the latest update. I did update this to V1.04. It doesn't do a whole lot of fixes, but it does fix the sleep. One thing about the stock firmware, sleep is now working. So you can see if I need to take a break, I can just shut the screen down, and this thing will sleep, and it'll come right back on to do that. And so also, if you have this hooked up through HDMI now, it will not engage sleep even if you have the sleeping have the sleeping setting turned on. So again, really enjoy that anbernic has stepped up and really improved their stock firmware. Although, baby, it's all about the custom firmware. So let's switch over and look at some Mustard OS. So this is probably my now favorite custom firmware for the H700 line. And this has definitely got a vibrant community that is continuing to invest and develop for it. MuOS or Mustard OS. And the great thing about Mustard OS is that it does not care which slot you have games in. It's going to just use whichever slot if you have both. You can actually take the games card that comes with your stock and leave that in the second slot and put Mustard OS in the first slot here. And so it's really, really nice as we pull up some, what else, more Castlevania here. And Mustard OS has some quality of life benefits above the stock firmware. Stock firmware also does have a few things going for it. Sleep is not working because this is not the actual port for this specific device. They are working on that. This is using the Plus version, which is working on it. But you can see that, it's got really, as we go out of here, go to the menu, it's got a nice setup that is very simple. You can pick either SD card where the games are. You can tell it where it's at. If it doesn't find the right emulator, it'll add the emulator. As you can see, I've got Artbook Next, but it's a very clean, easy, simple system. And Portmaster is in here. There's your RetroArch. There is Dingit's Commander, a music player. You can go ahead and you can explore content, again, going on either SD card. And we'll just go through some of the themes here. There's your input tester. And again, going back to the buttons, I am not having an experience of difficulty with buttons. I've got two units. They both work really good to me. So I don't know if I just got the lottery or what, but you can see here these buttons they're working like I would expect them to work. I don't really have any issue with them. I'm finding things that the way it should be. So I don't really understand the criticism. For me, these buttons are amazing. Again, I may acknowledge that maybe I just got really blessed, but they're just in a good position. They're a good size. They seem to be well functioning. And yeah, I totally don't understand that criticism. But that doesn't mean it's not real or accurate. And I also know that there are times where there's something I enjoy, but other people seem to have issue with it. So keep that in mind. This is just my opinion and my experience with this handheld, and actually two of them for that. And so let's get out of here. But Mustard OS, again, is very nice and very clean. You got shutdown, reboot, your configuration. You can go in and change your theme. There's a million themes on here. There are more themes that are being created all the time. As I show you one of the other themes that I really like here. We'll scroll through that, is this one right here. And it's quick to change themes. You can see that. Some of the themes are a little more simplistic. Some of them are a little more icon driven. But just really like this theme right here. Actually, I just like all of them. But yeah, custom firmware along with the awesome firmware that this ships with makes this a fantastic device. The battery lasts long. The CPU is capable of performing emulation at a pretty high level for what would be appropriate for this size screen and the sort of gaming that you would want to do on this. Maybe someday in the future there'll be something that looks like this and can do PS3, PS4. I don't know, but right now with this aspect ratio, this screen and everything, this is just hitting all the marks and really providing the sort of gameplay experience that us gamers have come to love and know with it. I can't say, Deadheads, that I actually have a preference between Mustard OS or the stock configuration. They're both just have pluses and minuses. They both are pretty good in certain ways, and they both bring some favorable aspects to the table for it. But again, It's fun to have choice. It's good to have choice. It's excellent to have choice. And we're really blessed that we have a community that's willing to invest and do a lot of choice, or give us a lot of different choice when it comes to these lovely handhelds that we are all experiencing. So let's throw my summary up there, and basically what I like about this unit, I like the nostalgia it brings. I like the build quality. I think the hinge is really well made. I think it's going to hold up over time. Yes, I do wish that it didn't fall down. I wish it would remain in place at that. If I'm laying on my back in my bed and I want to hold the angle back, it's just a little bit annoying that that won't stay in place. So that is a little bit, I think it's a little bit strange that there are 3 magnets for the Hall sensing magnet closure here. I don't know why there's not a 4th. That's weird. I did inquire, and other people are confirming that that's the same for them. You would not notice that on a unit like this where you're not seeing inside of there. But yeah, you can see this in the transparent. You can clearly see that it's off-centered, and there's 3. Don't know what this is magnetically attaching to. Maybe there's something there it is attaching to, but that's a little weird. That aside, this thing is really nice. It is playing at a level that we expected because we know the CPU. It has HDMI out. It has a great battery life. It has a great OS in it. The buttons to me are fantastic and feel good. It's got a good shape, a good size, and it just really ticks all the boxes for what I have been waiting quite a while for in a handheld to sort of replicate that feeling that, you know, we had that nostalgic feeling from back in the day when we would play, you know, some of these handhelds, and we would get them for Christmas or whatever like that, and you suddenly had, you know, you were the cool kid on the slot because you had the ability to do this. I hope that anbernic will continue to produce this and revise it. Maybe next year we can have a 4-inch using a 1-to-1 screen. Now, wouldn't that be something, Deadheads? That would be really nice. But I think anbernic has a winner here. I don't see any reason not to pick this up. I think it's a great solution. You could get a original Game Boy Advance SP and pay a little more to get that authentic experience, but I really feel like that this guy right here is going to do a little more for you than just play Game Boy Advance. So as we pull up some Rumble Fish here. But anyways, Deadheads, make sure you leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Did you buy one of these? Did you pick one of these up? If you did, were you satisfied? Were you disappointed? Do you feel any reviewers missed anything in regards to the quality of this? Or did you get the experience you expected to get out of this wonderful little handheld? I know that anbernic has had a lot of time to work on this thing. People wanted this thing to come out a year ago, but it looks like it's good that they didn't rush this out. It looks like that they were able to you know, get this thing in a pretty good place and produce a product that is pretty darn amazing, guys. I don't think anbernic has done that with the Cube. Our Cube will be arriving in a little while, and we know that it's got light leakage issues and other issues. But yeah, I think they've got a winner here. Again, this is just ticking all the boxes, just a few quirks, a few things I would do different. I have ordered some stickers to put on the inside of here. I think it's awesome, the transparent one. If I did have any criticisms about the plastic, why did you not use the exact same transparent blue that you have on the 556? That plastic is freaking amazing. So must have been some reason with the hinge or something they couldn't use that exact same plastic, but that would have been really nice. But I do like that they used a little whiteboard in there to make this stick through. But yeah, Deadheads, this is a buy. I recommend it. You can get it on sale for $60 sometimes through AliExpress. I'll leave a link in the description. And let me know, guys. Get in the comments. Anyways, this has been our review of the RG35XX SP. Again, we say buy this. It's a great thing. It works well. Just know that it's got a few unfortunate quirks like the gravity problem. That's what I'll call it. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Dead Fred out.